Hello and welcome. Today we've got Ian Clark, and today we are going to be discussing how the globalists are they're using fear to manipulate us. This is their biggest agenda. They want to suck the life and blood out of us so they could profit. We could be distracted. They could control us. And we're going to find out just a way on how to have control over that so we could, alleviate so we could stand on our own 2 feet and so that they cannot do this to us. Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to my Instagram channel at nicholas.veniamin, or you can follow all my daily news reels. Ian, thank you so much for joining me. How are you and what have you been up to?
Hey, Nicholas. A lot of cool things happening lately. I was down in the Turks and Caicos about a week and a half ago at a business mastermind. Learned a lot down there. And just in California right now, heading home for the holidays on Thursday. So things are cooking.
Absolutely. I'm glad that things are going really well. I've been following you on your Instagram, and there's a lot of activities going on there and a lot of education. And thank you for that. Why don't you tell us what your Instagram username is?
It's Ian Clark Activated.
And that's where you can find him. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, great. I follow you. It's great what you're doing. Now, of course, you want to talk about today, the fear that the globalists use on us to manipulate us via poverty, illness, failure, death, and much more. What's your message today? And, to do with this, what's your message?
Well, the message is to have everyone become aware of how we are being manipulated without realizing how we're being manipulated. So, my discovery on my journey has been that I was super manipulated. And there's still areas of my life that I suspect strongly that I'm still being manipulated in, but they're being uncovered and discovered by the education of the physical body. Because in our physical world, we have to rely on things like the infrastructure, to travel around, the money system. It's very difficult to escape that thing. We have to make sure that our bodies stay super healthy. And we have to always remember that anytime we have a setback or a failure, that's to our advantage, not to our disadvantage. That's happening for us. And we are not to fear death, because the fear of death is the biggest problem of all. And the whole thing, all of the propaganda that goes out is always about the fear of death. There's this thing in the air you might breathe, or there's this thing you might get, it might be transmitted to you, it might kill you, And so all the fear of death. And I had a situation, Nicholas, when I was 46 years old, where I had a huge tumor growing in the bottom of my abdomen. I had all these heart disease symptoms, and my liver readings were off the charts in a bad way. And at that point, I had about 36 months to live. So in order to change the script, I had to go, well, okay, I'm going to live for 36 months. And during that time, I'm going to find out how to extend that, because my physical body, I cannot have it expiring in 36 months. And there were so many fear factors that were being put on me. You have to have surgery. If you don't have surgery, you can be dead within a year. If you don't take these drugs, you're going to be in worse shape than you could possibly ever be. And if you do everything we say, you got about 3 years. And I thought, well, my uncles died in 1978, 51 and 54 years old, of cancer. They both did exactly what the doctors told them. They were totally afraid the whole time. They followed every command that they were given, and they died right on time. And I was like, that doesn't work. That didn't work for them. I don't want to go down that same road. But there was tons of fear, because, you got all this stuff going on. I didn't know how to fix it. So if I could go back to myself in 2004 right now and tell myself what I've learned in the last 20 years, and I got to survive, and not only survive, but thrive, because I was able to get rid of all that stuff naturally without having any surgery or drugs, I would be only like 4 to 5 months, maybe 6 months, I would have everything corrected. Instead of, at that time, it cost $1.5 million and 7 years to learn all these different protocols along the way to dissolve all that stuff out of my system, because of my lack of knowledge.
So, what is the benefit of the deep state globalists wanting to fear, the people? What type of things do they benefit from this?
Well, they benefit from enslaving the population. 98% of the world, as we saw, 98% of the people in the world ran around, put on masks, went and got vaccinated, did all those things that they were based on fear, the fear of death, or the fear of not being able to travel, or the fear. And so it was a massive, massive money grab, a massive control grab. Money, the control is more valuable than money.
Mm.
If people can be mind controlled or put into a state where they are fearful of their neighbors because all their neighbors have done the same thing that they don't want to do, right? And the neighbors are putting pressure on them to do that, or their family's putting pressure. It's just an ultra manipulative thing. And we witnessed a global event in 2020 of that magnitude. And when that happened, I was like, I don't know what you guys are doing, but I'm not a participant because I have nothing to do with this stuff. I don't fear anything like that. Are you kidding? I'm going to be afraid there's something in the air I'm breathing. I'm not going to walk around. I breathe 11,000 liters of air a day, guys. I'm not going to be afraid of what I'm breathing. Are you joking? You think I'm going to stifle what I'm going to be breathing with a stupid mask? I can't have a mask on. A mask is inhibiting I've got to breathe as much, good oxygen as I can. I'm not getting enough as it is. I'm not going to deprive myself more. Like, what a bunch of idiocy that was. So when you have that kind of idiocy coming up, then that got to tell you that there's something dramatically wrong with people's thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And now they don't wear masks. So put the mask on and then take the mask off. And like, okay, what is it, guys? You either, did God forget to install a mask on our bodies? I don't think so.
So why is it that some people they're aware, of the things that they're afraid of the fear, they're aware of it to a certain point, but they still allow it to control them? Why do you think that is?
The main reason I found out, and this is the thing that got me out of that whole funk, was when my elements were low, when I had not enough sea mineral elements in my body. I was in that state when I started consuming sea minerals, and I didn't even know this at the time. It was just by default because I ran into the marine phytoplankton and the 100 times strength ocean water that it was bathed in back 17 years ago. And the more that I consumed that, the more brave I became, the more courage I got. And I'm like, why? It was like my battery was getting charged up. Like when you feel like you're charged up and you're ready to go and super enthusiastic and you got a lot of joyful mental energy. It doesn't matter what's going on around you. It's not going to get you down. There could be crashes all around you, but it's not messing with you. So what I found out is that you are the person who has to be completely responsible for your own thinking. And if you are going to be in fear, that's your problem. You don't have to be in fear at all. But you need the fuel in your system, and that fuel comes from the ocean. It's amazing. Like we get, 71% of the earth is ocean water.
Yeah.
We're surrounded by this stuff. And when you consume just small amounts every single day, it totally improves your mental, emotional, and physical state. They're all tied together. So if you're low on fuel, and one of the most important fuels come from the ocean, which is the concentrated sea minerals and the marine phytoplankton. Plus, I found out about the transdermal magnesium that comes from the ocean in its concentrated form. You spray it on your skin, it goes right into your skin, into your system. That calms your autonomic nervous system down. Your autonomic nervous system has two systems. One is sympathetic stress and one is parasympathetic. Sympathetic stress is essential because that's how you go out and get your stuff done during the day. Parasympathetic is when you come back and rest and digest and you get recentered. If you get off on any of those elements, you can get into anxiety, depression. Those are all fear-based, right? The fear of poverty, the fear of illness, the fear of failure, and the fear of death, ultimately. All those fears have to be eliminated. And people ask me, like, how did you not be super afraid when you had that great big tumor for 7 years growing between your legs and it was this pulsing thing? Why weren't you afraid? I said, because fear wasn't going to help me. But I didn't realize my courage was coming from the elements. I was able to stand up and go, this has to be fixed naturally. I can't give in to the doctors and let them cut me open, especially where the tumor was located, which was right around the male plumbing. I didn't want anybody going with knives down there. So it was one of those things that the fear was eliminated physically, because we physically fear things. You could feel it in your heart when you're afraid or when you're anxious. And putting those elements in my system every single day just made me stronger and stronger and stronger. And that's actually what founded our company, was the Oceans Alive and the Ease. which were profound, and they're still the top products today because
What is it about it that helps with the nervous system? Remove fear. How does that work? Because obviously, the nervous system in our body is almost like an electrical. They're like wires. If they're working properly, this is how I understand. We're wired up properly. We've got all the electricity working and flowing through the body and the brain working properly. So, is that what it is? That how it works?
It's 100% how it works. So the sea minerals themselves are the communication crystals that are in your body. Just like you have to have the crystals in a phone to communicate to the cell towers. Your body communication is far more intense. You've got literally massive streams of data coming from every cell of your body to your brain. Just like they measured 80,000 thoughts to touch your index finger to your thumb. This is streams of data. When your elemental levels are low, your electrical system cannot run properly. And your biophotons, that's why they call it electrolytes, electric and lit up, right? So your brain power, your nervous system, your whole body intelligence is based upon having enough of those fuels. And what we found out was, and these are our 25-year to 30-year studies, is that the body is using those elements. If you're under more stress or you have more things to do or you're a more intelligent person, the more intelligent you are, the more of these fuels you're going to be burning because you're a high bandwidth individual. And every one of you on this, watching this video, are high level, high bandwidth individuals because you're dialed in. You're unique. You're in the 2% of the world.
But you know what happens when the deep state, is constantly showing us adverts on television, on the Matrix box, of, fast food, processed potato chips, all of these things, pizzas, and they never advertise how to make the healthiest salad during the pandemic on television. There was no commercials. It was all about get vaccinated. And it's all about destroying the immune system, synthetic material in the body that's not really working for us. What does that do when you don't have your diet right to the nervous system? Does it do the opposite?
Yeah, well, your diet is super important. Like if you're eating synthetic foods, genetically modified garbage, fast foods, packaged foods, and what we'll call them is hyper palatable foods. People are going to look this up online. Hyper palatable foods. That means stuff that you really love eating. When you taste it, it's like, wow, this stuff is amazing. And it's all packaged in that way to get you hooked on it, to get you into a habit pattern that has a downward cycle to it. So if your gut health is off, which is going to go off if you're eating garbage, you are not going to have the intuition. Your passions are going to get screwed up. Your mission is going to get messed up. Your calculator is not going to be thinking clearly. You're not going to have critical thinking. So having these elements, that's why when we first started, it was really funny. We called our company The Best Food Ever. That was the name of our company. Eventually it became Activation because we saw these things activating people so much to get healthier that we changed it to Activation. But thebestfoodever.com, we used to own that domain. And it was all based upon the marine phytoplankton that was from the ocean that had every nutritional molecule known to all historical data in it, all natural, all heirloom, never modified, never changed, just grown in a special photobioreactor. And it took 40 years of research to find out which marine phytoplankton strains were good for the human body. And there's only 2 of them that really work deeply. And that was the Oceans Alive. So that gave me this massive streams of data, like what I call total mental joy, like a joyful mental energy, to be able to see through stuff. Because I could see through all these things that I could never see through before.
Yeah.
By just simply putting these elements in my system. It corrected all my gut health problems because the hydrochloric acid in your stomach is made from the sea minerals because they're all chloride minerals. So my gut health perfected. My brain power went way up. My emotional state stabilized because when you're off, like we had people that were on depression medication because of anxiety attacks, like really bad ones. And I would tell them, you're going to they have to stay on the drugs because they'll be completely freaking out if they don't. But I said, all you got to do is add ease into your skin twice a day. So when you wake up in the morning, you put it on 30 sprays. When you go to bed at night, you put on 30 sprays. Now, there's 2 things that are going to happen. Number one is you're going to have much deeper, higher quality sleep. Number two, you're going to have a more calm energy during the day. And I told them, just watch yourself. As you don't need your drugs, you're going to feel like just try taking a little bit less, a little bit less. And a lot of people within 30 days of doing that were completely off their meds. They didn't need the meds to start with. They weren't deficient in their medication, their anti-anxiety and antidepressant medication. They were simply deficient in magnesium, which is the fuel that you burn all day. So that concentrated form of magnesium chloride hexahydrate goes into the skin. Your body monitors how much you need, and it stores in your tissue. It's not like a magnesium pill you eat that kind of goes through your digestive system and you grab a little bit of it and pee or poop the rest of it out. This is going in, not using your digestive system. And it calms your whole body down from your neck down because you put it on large areas of the skin and it goes in right away. And people would feel like, they would say, am I supposed to feel this? I go, like, after a minute and a half, they're like totally calming down, and even their aches and pains were going away because they were overcalcified. So that's what allows you to then put your mind on things that you need to be thinking about. Because if you're depressed or anxious, you're not thinking about the most important things you used to think about, which is, who are you? Like, what are you doing here? What is life all about? What's your mission? What's your passion? Where are you going? What's your direction? What's the whole purpose of this? This is a major important, amount of information to learn that you should be thinking about instead of all the other stuff.
Absolutely. This is very interesting stuff because we're not going to find this on the mainstream media. Let's face it. This is the alternative media. This is where we interview people like you and cancelled voices who can't express this information, on the mainstream media because it just takes money away from big pharma. Now, you mentioned earlier that we get hooked on food. Now, there's foods that I get hooked on too. And when I think about them, my mouth waters. How can we get unhooked from this? Can ease and Oceans Alive help us get unhooked? Does it have anything to do with our palates, with our, nervous system, with our brain function? How would you describe that?
Yeah, it dynamically affects it. And here's why. When your body is satiated, and that word ties into sea salt, into you're a walking ocean, you're a salt being, cry a tear, you'll taste it. So when your elements are low, then you're craving something. You're craving things to satisfy the hunger that's in you that should actually not be there. It's an unhealthy type of hunger. So when you're satiated by having every nutritional molecule coming in your body, your brain goes, okay, thank you. I've got everything I need right now, to repair DNA, to produce hormones, to make vitamins. And you're bringing in all the elemental stuff that is powering you. It's like charging up a battery. A battery won't run without salinity. You can't conduct anything. So now all your energy's now communicating properly. Your brain is able to monitor everything in your body much clearer. Mm-hmm. And that keeps you away from these cravings. Like, I went through a situation, Nicholas, it was the most crazy thing. When I was dying, and I was literally dying, and I knew that I was dying, and I was dying because of what I was eating. I wasn't into drinking alcohol, doing drugs. I'd stopped smoking cigarettes when I was 21. Wasn't doing any of that kind of stuff. But I was eating fast foods. And in Canada, in the US, they have Wendy's. And Wendy's, I would go to Wendy's around 11:30 to 12 noon every day, like clockwork, because if I didn't, I would go and get a number 4 supersized French fries and a large Pepsi or whatever, Coke, right? And if I didn't do that, my body, I would get these massive pounding headaches. I got that addicted to it. And my guts would be just wrenching me. I was like, what? So I knew I had to stop. So when I tried to stop, I couldn't, because I'm having to work at that time. I was at the computer doing tons of work for a company that had bought my company. This is back in 2004. And when I tried to stop, my gut wrench would be so bad, I would be in so much agony and have such a pounding headache that I have to go over there, eat the food, and it would completely erase my headache and take away my gut pain. And then I'd be good. I could go back to work. But I knew it was killing me. So after about 3 weeks of that, where I was trying not to do that, and I couldn't, I finally told my body, I said, hey, you're no longer in charge. I'm taking over. If you want to fight me, you want to get into a scrap with me, I'm game, because I'm done. And you're killing yourself. I literally talked to my body. It's killing itself from this addiction to this food. And so I said, you want to bring on the gut aches? You want to bring on the headache? Bring it on. I know I'm done. Just throw a temper tantrum if you want. It was like a little child that was in a temper tantrum. And I said, yeah, come on, bring it on. And so sure enough, my gut was just ripping me up, pounding headaches. I'm like, is that all you got? Is that I could kick your ass any day of the week. Literally, I'm talking to my body like that. Is that all you got? Come on, bring on more. And anyway, it did. It beat me up for a couple of weeks. And after 2 weeks or so of that, it just stopped one day. I never went to Wendy's again ever since that day. That was a long time ago. And it just stopped. And then I realized, wow, I can actually take control of my body. I had to fight. It was a battle, but I'm tougher than my body. So that was hyper palatable foods, but they were full of chemicals and terrible poisons that were destroying my body. I had so much candida in my body. It was like white crystal on the entire bottom of my abdomen between my legs.
Ian, if somebody is eating junk food for so many years and has all those chemicals in their body and they feel very overweight, they feel weak, their sleep quality is not great, they just feel helpless and hopeless, and they think there's no reverse here. Is there a reverse? Do you believe that there's a reverse, that you can reverse this? Because when you're too far gone, you've been doing it for so many years, it's very, very easy to fall into that trap. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it is totally reversible. So long as you're still alive and breathing, you can reverse it. And the further down the rabbit hole you've gone, the further up the rabbit hole you got to come out. So, I was way down the rabbit hole. I mean, I was like the stinking tumor, heart disease, and liver malfunction level with candida blowout. That was ridiculous. Almost anyone in that situation would have been dead within 3 years or sooner. So the fact that I was able to be delivered from it shows you it's totally reversible. If you would have met me then, you would have been disgusted with me. Yeah. I looked terrible. I had bad moods. I was not fun to be around. It was not good. I mean, everything was just unwinding on me. So yes, definitely you can pull out of there. If a person is already disabled where they can't move, I think that's a massive problem. But even then, they could still, with help, but they would have to reach out for help to get someone to really assist them to be able to get out of that situation. But you can be healthy, and not only can you be healthy, but you can be extremely healthy. And that's where we're at today. And we're just getting started. This is the beginning of a beautiful journey to get healthier every single day, because that's the key performance indicator. If you're getting worse every day, there's something wrong. You're on the wrong track. And I know exactly how to get on the right track. It's just a few adjustments and iterations, and without very much time going down and very, very little cost, you get your body back in equilibrium.
Absolutely. Well, Ian Clark, I want to thank you for sharing all your views today, and I'm very gladly to share the links in the description so that people can have access to the wonderful benefits below if they click on the links below. Ian, is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
Yeah, just keep building your enthusiasm and your joy of being alive, and keep talking about your mission, and find out how to get rid of the fear. There's a way. We'll share more into the future, but start out with the elements and get fear out of your life. Whenever you have any fear at all, that is not good. Fear is a complex, and the only thing to fear is fear itself. So get rid of it.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you have a wonderful Christmas, Ian, and we'll speak again very soon. You take care and God bless. Bye-bye.
Yeah, God bless you, Nicholas.